Costa Concordia, ship of dreams. It's been...
Costa Concordia não foi aquele barco que naufragou e depois o capitão deu ex-suicides? Foi, não foi?
8 years. I can still smell the buffets from their 5 restaurants. The casino and 3-story theatre had hardly been used.
Não sabia da história? Eu não sei, eu já ouvi falar do barco e acho que é isso, mas I'm not sure. Deixa eu ver. Costa Concordia. Ok, just a background. Costa Concordia foi um navio de passageiros italiano operado pela Costa Grossière, construído pelos taleiros em Fincantieri, em Génova. Primeira embarcação da classe Concordia de cruzeiros. Ok, foi lançada em setembro. Yes. Costa Concordia encalhou no Isola del Giglio e embarcou parcialmente com 32 pessoas no Ele foi cara uma verde. Então, mas havia qualquer coisa sobre o capitão, I think. Ok, I guess, whatever.
Jim, the day spa. The sheets in her 1,500 luxurious cabins hadn't even been slept in. Costa Concordia cost $570 million to build. And you could tell. You could really...
Chat, estás a ver? Há coisas que eu não percebo, you know? Destes 570 milhões, davam 1 milhão para mim. Eles nem notavam que faltava lá 1 milhão no barco. Eles nem notavam. E eu ficava com a vida feita. You know? It's not that hard, man. It's not that hard. O comandante do navio, Francisco Stênio, em fevereiro de 2015, foi condenado a 16 anos de prisão pelo abandono do navio. Pois, exato. Foi isso que eu ouvi.
I remember it like it was just a few years ago.
Taking an
We had
nap of
left
46
Civitavecchia,
minutes.
a port
Okay,
in
dude.
Rome,
Okay.
and we were making our way to Savona. It was day 2 of our 7-day journey. But that ship, she was cursed.
Monca. I need Joe Rogan caroças no chat.
The traditional bottle of champagne bounced
Se disse no meu
right
curso
off
de
the
Forex,
side
ficavas
instead of smashing.
fazes 1 milhão nos teus
A
7
bad
sábados.
But I'm not the superstitious.
True.
Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th.
I'm not the superstitious type. Passar por baixo de um escadote. Eu já quis dar uma cena de Portugal.
Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th of
Monca
January
esse.
2012, on the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic, on a ship that's also only safety rated for 2-compartment flooding, especially not when you have a 5-star max level captain like Francisco Scatino. A man who
Wow.
mysteriously rose from head of security to the position of captain within just a couple of years. He knows exactly what to do in case of an emergency. For example,
Oh,
when he
no,
caused this
no.
emergency in 2008 when he crashed into a port in Sicily. And in 2010 in Warnemünde, Germany, when he was steering a different ship and came into port too fast and caused another collision. I've got a good feeling about this. So let's set the scene. It's a beautiful evening. People are having fun on the slides, drinks at the bar. Antonio Magnotta is playing piano at the restaurant. Martin the Magician is setting up for his show. And the ship is setting up for a little detour. It's called...
Eu não sei se sou o único, mas I don't know, man. Tipo, barcos fazem bué confusão, especialmente estes barcos enormes, têm bué da cena lá dentro. Há qualquer coisa sobre estar num cruzeiro, tecnicamente preso, e estar no meio do oceano. It kind of freaks me out, dude. Not gonna lie.
a sail-by salute. Basically, you get real close to the shore and honk the horn. The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition. Scatino, the captain, comes into the dining hall with the lady. Dominica...
Vimos do capitão a perguntar-lhe, Captain, do you know where you're going? E ele diz, of course. Good one. Meu pai e a namorada dele estão a planear uma viagem dessas para irmos. E eu não gosto de cruzeiros, dude. Tipo, eu acho que morrer afogado é das piores maneiras, you know?
Até vou pousar o copo.
Pena dá React a Flat Earther vs Scientist, ok. React do React, this is a Reactception. I don't know, man. Eu não gosto. Não gosto. Tipo, cenas no mar, tipo, isoladas do mundo. Ah, yikes, dude. Yikes.
The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition. Scatino, the captain, comes into the dining hall with the lady.
Veja um vídeo
Dominica
de Symphony
Savoy.
of the Seas.
Remember this face
cidade
because you'll be
flutuante.
seeing a lot
Okay.
of it later. Scatino eats his dinner with her and socializes for a little while. Then,
My man.
Dominica and the maitre d' finish up and excuse themselves. They're heading to the bridge. It's time for that sail-by salute. This time, they're going to get closer than ever. Just 1,500 feet from the island of Giglio.
Já meti num cruzeiro por uma semana e foi free. What? Como?
Well, of course, the captain is going to
How
eyeball
is that
it.
possible, madame?
Apparently, it's not an uncommon thing to do. Scatino turns to the fella steering, his helmsman, Jacob Ruslibin. First
Isto não é dos
interesting tidbit.
Sims. Para dizer que
Costa
esse não é que é dos
Crociere has
Sims.
hired Jacob from Indonesia at a rock bottom price, and he's a bit of a newbie to the job. In fact, his profession hitherto, a painter and a cleaner. It's his first time steering a massive ship, and he's very excited. At least
Como? Como é que estes gajos... Ainda há pouco tempo estávamos a falar das cunhas. Como é que estes gajos... Este gajo era pintor. E fazia limpezas. E agora está a dirigir um navio. What? Que puta de mundo é este? Hello? Eu tio rico trabalhava numa agência de viagens. Era tipo o braço direito do dono. Estás a ver? Eu ainda há pouco tempo estava a falar isso com os meus pais. Toda a gente tem um tio rico. Eu não entendo.
Symphony of the Seas is an
Ok, já vamos ver isto. Não entendo como é que toda a gente tem um tio rico. I don't get it. I don't get it. E já repararam que vocês nunca são o tio rico? Think about it, chat. Eu acho que há aí uma conspiração que ainda ninguém investigou como deve ser. Porque toda a gente tem um tio rico, mas tu nunca és o tio rico. Dude, that's fucking weird, man.
At least we think he is. It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak English or Italian very well at all. Off to a good start. The second
Além de algumas vezes à piscina na casa grande que eles tinham, nunca me serviu nada. Olha, bem fixe, meu. Nunca te serviu nada. Até ao dia em que o teu tio te diz: olha, vais trabalhar para a minha empresa de International Spaceship Program. Eu sei que não tens curso, mas é na boa. Porque é só fingir que sabes. NGG. There you go.
Off to a good start. The second in command.
Minha avó teve 11 filhos. Algum deles tinha de ser rico. Pá, minha avó também teve muitos filhos. Mas nenhum deles é rico. Eu não tenho nenhum tio rico. Eu sou a exceção. Sadge.
Orders the helmsman.
Toda a gente tem um tio rico. Eu sem família nenhuma. Oh, não! Pero o PogChamp é o comando hype? Sim. Permanentemente. Yes.
290. Now, don't be confused by these numbers, they're just the degrees on a compass. At the same time, the captain whips out his cell phone and calls former captain Mario Palombo, who lives on the island. They chat about the safe distance to Giglio's shores. It's all very casual. Anyway, Mario says that the safe distance is between 0.3 and 0.4 miles from shore. The captain is going all in. This is not his first sail-by salute, so he's confident in what he's doing. We're going closer than we
Só uma cena, a última vez que eu paro o vídeo, a quantos quilómetros por hora é que anda um barco destes, um cruzeiro? Porque eles fazem viagens bué grandes. Portanto, tipo, mas demoram dias. Portanto, suponho, I don't know, actually zero clue. Zero clue, dude.
Never been before. The captain's eyeball.
É nós, sim, mas eu estou a dizer quilómetros por hora porque se me disseres em nós eu não faço puta ideia porque eu não sou marinheiro, como deves calcular, Kane. You know?
It again? New heading of 300, he tells the helmsman. Downstairs, Martin is about to cut his assistant in half. And of course, that means that there's already a lady inside this box. She's waiting for the cue, and then she'll poke her legs out. The captain is giving more orders.
Chegaste tipo o Bob a conduzir o barco no Valheim.
Increase speed to 16
Actually true.
knots. Going this fast is going to
16 knots, ok. 16 nós para quilo. Eu nem sei se isto dá para fazer esta conversão. Imagina eu ser de ciências, by the way. Eu aposto que ninguém no chat sabe também. Shut the fuck up. Conversão nós para quilómetros. Quilómetros, não quilómetros, está bem. Aliás, podia ter escrito com QU, I guess. Fuck. Será que assim deixa-me? Nope. Um nó é 1.852 km por hora. Portanto, 16 nós. Entrada 16. São 30 km por hora. 30 km por hora, dude. Então só quer fazer uma viagem a 30 km por hora. Não wonder que eles demoram dias. What the fuck? What the fuck? Máxima chega aos 30 nós, 55 km por hora. Aí sim. There you go. There you go, then. 56 os mais rápidos segundo a hora. Ih, 56 é tipo mega lento. Essa é uma cena que eu no outro dia eu deitei-me e estava a pensar. Porque, you know, quando tu deitas pensas em tudo menos no que deves fazer, que é dormir. Como é que barcos ainda são viáveis? Não era mais viável, tipo, usar avião para tudo? Porque o barco é tipo, ou mega lento. Tipo, barcos de carga são mega lentos, bro. Fazer uma viagem de uma ponta à outra do Atlântico demora tipo meses. You know? Pepega. What do you mean, pepega? Estás-te a cagar se é lento ou rápido, tens tudo no cruzeiro. Não, mas neste caso é para lazer. Mas eu não me estou a referir a cruzeiro. Eu estou-me a referir a barcos de carga em que têm de transportar mercadoria de um lado para o outro. É tipo, como é que é viável? Porque é mega lento, dude. Obviamente num cruzeiro ninguém quer saber quão rápido é, porque o objetivo não é fazer a viagem. You know? Marcar leva 1000 vezes mais mercadoria que o avião. True, mas para ti já consegues meter boa mercadoria no avião. Agora, provavelmente não é worth it em termos de combustível. Maybe. I don't know. Still, acho que barcos são tipo mega lentos.
A fatal error. But before we talk about that, let's talk about another.
É tipo, acho estranho, em pleno século XXI, ainda não temos arranjado uma maneira mais eficiente de transportar mercadoria. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know, chat.
Language barrier. Because at this point the captain says,
Yo, what's up, Pedro? How you doing, man?
325, but the helmsman relays 315. So the first officer intervenes and he goes, no, 335, which is also wrong. And then the captain clarifies, no, 325. The helmsman confirms 325. Their poor communication has them moving at a much wider angle than they think they are. However, the captain should and would know this, except for the next problem. Complacency about procedure. The
Comboio
standard
subterrâneo
procedure
quase
of
por todo o
ship
mundo. Exato, tipo uma cena desse género, you know? Esperar o Musk arranjar barcos alimentados à água do mar.
large is for the
Yes.
third
Espera, hold up.
procedure.
Perdi-me.
Would know this, except than they think they are. However, the captain should and would know this, except for the next problem. Complacency about procedure. The standard procedure of a ship this large is for the third officer to give exact positional coordinates every time the captain gives a new directional order. But they're not doing that. 330, he says. The helmsman relays 330. The ship reaches 16 knots. The captain then turns to the second officer and instructs him to go to the left wing. That's these things here, and they basically exist so you can get a better view over the whole vessel. A few seconds pass, and then the mood starts to turn. Scatino notices white foam of waves breaking against the rocks directly in front of him in the distance. The Costa Concordia, right now, is almost 700 meters closer to the rocks than it should be.
Se o Antártico leva tipo 6
there
tanques.
is going to be a direct
Yeah, mas I guess nunca é tanto como um avião. Ou como um barco, I mean.
Scatino immediately commands the ship to start turning away. 335. Not enough. The captain shouts, 340. The captain yells, 350. Now, remember how I said that accelerating to 16 knots was a fatal error? Well, that's because it's made this ship incapable of such a drastic turn. What they've got is understeer. Here's an example.
The front end is not working. You're turning, and you're just going straight. You want to go over here, but you're going to end up over here.
So despite the order of 350, right now the bow is still only pointing at 327. Not nearly enough to miss the rock. And oh no, it's about to get worse.
Pois, porque depois o barco, exato, se o barco for demasiado rápido, começa tipo a dar, é como se estivesse a fazer um drift, you know? Não podes fazer tipo curvas apertadas. Então estes cálculos têm de ser feitos tipo com boa antecedência. It's kind of,
only pointing at 327.
It is what it is, I guess.
Enough to miss the rock. And oh no, It's
Oh,
about
no.
to get worse. That language barrier again. In these critical moments where every second counts, the helmsman wrongly relays 340.
Oh
The captain
no.
snaps back 350 starboard or we end up on the rocks. The third officer goes to assist the helmsman. Now, don't get confused by the orders from here. We're changing over to rudder instructions. The captain yells, starboard 10, starboard 20, and still it's not enough. Hard to starboard. That means as hard as it'll go. But at this point, even if they clear these rocks, they need to get the rest of the ship to swing around it. So the captain yells,
Eu faço isto no
"Midship,"
Valheim all the time,
which
man.
centers the rudder. The bow is now less than 150 meters from Skull Rock. Port 10. But the helmsman only gets to port 5 before another order is given 2 seconds later. Port 20. They might just avoid disaster here, maybe. But then, oh no. One more time, the helmsman cocks up at the worst possible moment. The helmsman goes to starboard instead of port, undoing the swing. 8 seconds later, he realizes
Como?
the error is correct, but it's too late. He has just turned a probable near miss into a sure hit. All they can do now is hold on as the bow of the ship narrowly passes by the rocks. Hard to port!
Mas espera, como é que ele sabe que foi isto que aconteceu? Houve um relato completo do que se passou?
Second officer yells, "We're gonna hit!"
Uma declaração?
Collision.
Black box, I see. Pepega, ok, chat. Top notch edição. Oh, no, no, no.
Downtown.
No ad time. No mega lol. Nope. Nope. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
A 53
Vê o ad. Sabes, vocês dizem, vê o ad, porque o ad é fixe. O gajo aproveita-se de que o conteúdo dele é tipo superior para meter um ad de 7 minutos e meio. Ok?
Downtown, Nordtown.
Ainda para mais é sempre NordVPN. Eu já sei. Ok? Não é preciso haver mais ads. Se houver um VPN que eu vou comprar, ok? NordVPN. Mas estás a ver o conteúdo dele para fazer até ao menos vês o ad? No mega lol, dude. No mega to the lol. Aqui é full yoink. Que é full yoink. Já estou caindo com moralidades. Oh, não. Estás a ver o conteúdo? Podias pelo menos tudo. Quem? Achas que eu sou uma pessoa responsável? Não, dude. Não.
6 of playing Russian roulette. Seems I never win.
Gonna drink all by yourself?
Somebody has to.
I hear you're a man who's good at finding folks.
I'm many things.
I'm looking for this fella. I gots to find him. It's breaking my little heart.
I'll see what I can do. I have contacts in thousands of servers in dozens of countries across the globe. And just like that, she was gone. The only thing she left was a calling card. Sometimes when you follow a case, it follows you back.
Pena, olha o meu achievement de hoje.
NordVPN.
E tu deixa passar a vida à frente por algum motivo. True. Achievement de hoje? Post-champ? Oh, shit. God damn. You were farming the wood, I see. You were farming the wood, hein?
And protect my online
Kane style, dude.
But who
Não
can
preciso
protect
comprar,
me
consigo te arranjar um conta de
from
VPN
myself?
3 anos de borla. Wow.
when they
É
say
Carmen.
this job gets easier?
Paus,
It's just
Pog.
another lie.
Yep.
Forensics found his
Paus,
password
chat.
spread all the way down the block. In a perfect world, we'd all use NordVPN. But I guess this isn't that kind of story. I took the brakes off my car. Man like me never really learned how to stop.
Sabem uma coisa que me faz confusão? Como é que VPN não é ilegal? Porque estás a usar uma rede, estás a fornecer a tua localização e ao usares VPN estás tipo a enganar o sistema. e a dizeres que estás num sítio completamente diferente. Como é que isso não é ilegal, dude? What the fuck? That's fucking weird, man. Não estás, mas estás, though. Mas estás. Estás literalmente a dizer: eu não estou em Portugal, estou na Turquia. E usas isso para dar bypass em Netflix, HBOs, Steams, whatever the fuck. Portanto, estás. You know? Estás. E agora, e somehow isso é legal. Tipo, há uma razão. Há uma razão pela qual as coisas estão restritas para certos continentes. E tu, ao usares VPN, estás a passar estas restrições. Mas é legal. E eu não consigo perceber isso. I don't get it.
Fuck up.
Porque, tipo, se é legal, porque é que há restrições in the first place? Doesn't make any sense.
Fell out too. I lit the road.
Tipo, a Rainy, por exemplo. Aliás, não vou dizer porque... Quer dizer, a Rainy já disse isto em stream, portanto eu vou dizer. A Rainy usa VPN. E I guess que pode. Acho que é legal o que ela faz. Para conseguir preços mais baixos no BDO. You know? Mas tipo, os preços do BDO na Europa são assim porque é suposto serem assim para a Europa. Senão eles abriam os servidores para toda a gente. Right? Mas somehow é legal. É tipo, I don't get it, dude. That doesn't make any sense.
Be where I'm supposed to be.
Olha, por exemplo, GTA Online. Em Portugal não há casino, you know? Em Portugal não há casino no GTA, porque é contra, you know? Que é contra as leis. Mas se tu passares um VPN para os Estados Unidos, já podes usar o casino. Just like that. E é legal. É tipo, não faz sentido nenhum. I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. He knows too much, FBI will put him down. Yeah, chat. Se eu amanhã não fizer stream, não é porque adormeci, é porque o FBI veio à minha casa, ok? Just keep that in mind. 5 head or 3 head? Yeah, I guess. Nobody knows it.
Your husband's dead. Merry Christmas.
Não falas disso, o FBI está a ouvir.
Go to nordvpn.com/internet story for a huge discount.
Leu o que eu disse? O teu endereço MAC é o mesmo, não consegues fazer isso. Para dar bypass na Disney Plus precisas no proxy não do VPN. Não interessa. Isso é um... Ok, para a Disney Plus sure. Mas há bué das cenas que podes dar a volta só com o VPN. You know? Eu não percebo.
Add over. The ship hits rocks on the port side. A 53-meter gash opens up in the hull, and thousands of tons of water begin pouring in. A loud scraping and bang is heard by all passengers. At the helm is panic. Rumblings in the dining room. Martin awkwardly pauses his act as he's helping his assistant into the box. Meanwhile, the lady inside is trapped and terrified. There's confusion across the ship. All of the crew off shift come
É legal, mas se a PSP vai, tu caso vais preso por estar no GTA Online, usa Casino Time. Ok.
On connection with the rocks, they lose propulsion and slow.
Imagina isto preso por jogar GTA Online no casino.
They are now adrift. Close the watertight doors at stern. Enormous volumes of water are pouring in. So much so that within 29 seconds of collision, all 6 engines stop working through flooding.
What?
22 seconds later, a black
Holy shit.
Lights, electrics, the water pumps too. Everything. The captain orders the helmsman hard starboard. This is the final position of the rudder before power to that too is lost. The Costa Concordia, now without power, is drifting starboard, plunged into absolute darkness. A quick breakdown of the flooding. When the Concordia struck land, it tore open 3 watertight compartments. At first, compartment 5, which filled very rapidly. Then 6 more slowly, 4 shortly after. Then 7, 8 and 3. Modern ships are built to withstand 2 compartment breaches. These compartments especially, though, are a problem, because they contain the engines and the electrics. These main generators give power to the whole ship. From propulsion motors to rudder to hotel functions, pretty much everything. When they went out, the ship was a functionless, sinking cage.
E
A
sim,
few seconds later,
é isto que eu não gosto dos barcos. E agora toda a gente que está lá no meio do barco, you know, good luck.
emergency batteries for internal lighting and communications kick on. When the lights come back on, Martin has vanished. He's ditched the stage, and it caused a huge panic in the theatre as passengers are trying to flee to their cabins and to muster stations. People already in their cabins come out and start putting on live vests.
É só nadar.
Staff rally and try to calm
Of course,
everyone
man.
down. Everything
I mean,
is
eles estão
fine.
perto da costa, I guess.
Use the vests.
O problema é se
Please
isto
return
acontece no meio do oceano. Aí já é... You know, that's kinda... Não há costa, não é? Kinda yikes.
into your cabins. The emergency generator starts. All of the watertight doors close except
Titanic
for door
italiano,
12,
basically.
which is jammed. The captain calls Pilon, the chief engineer, as the ship begins to list on the port side. There's water coming in? Yes, there's water. But where? The engine room. But a lot of water? Yes! There's water, you can't go down. Let's go down the other side. In a moment we'll start the pumps, I'll let you know. In the theatre, the whole magic box apparatus slides right off the stage and falls into the crowd, further increasing panic. On the bridge, an announcement is
Porquê que o foco é a caixa de magia, dude? What the fuck?
being prepared. They are going to lie to prevent a panic. Let's just say we have a blackout.
Apanhas boleia dos golfinhos? True. 5 dude.
The deputy chief engineer enters the engine control room. He confirms to the bridge that at least compartments 5, 6, and 7 are flooded. Announcements are made.
The captain to inform you that due to an electrical fault which is currently under control, we're currently in a blackout. Our technicians are working to resolve the situation and we'll inform you of
Oh, isto é
developments
actual
as they
audio.
occur. Thank you for your attention.
Coincidentally, at the same time,
Quando houve uma
in the
simulação no
restaurant,
cruzeiro dos meus
my
pais,
heart will go on.
no cruzeiro,
It's very
os
much
meus
not
pais
helping
colocaram o
the
meu colete todo
situation.
mal.
The
Sobrevivia.
captain calls
Oh
the
no.
crisis unit. Roberto Ferrarini. He tells the crisis unit that they've hit a rock, that they're assessing damages, and that they are also in a
Everything's
blackout.
fine, yeah,
The
it's okay,
crisis
dude.
officer says to reverse the ship up onto shore. Well, how are you going to do that? You don't have power to the rudder, let alone the engine. You know, hoist the sails? Anyway, around this time, the wind direction creates a starboard list, and the ship begins to turn anyway, drifting right back towards the shore, which is a very good thing because you want the ship to end up as close to shore as possible.
Oh no.
A panicked passenger senses that something is off. This isn't like any electrical problem that she's ever seen. Plus, there was a massive crashing noise, and now the ship is tilting. So,
Pera, isto é actual
she contacts her
footage?
daughter.
Holy shit, man.
There was a massive crashing
Monka.
noise, and now the ship is tilting. So, she contacts her daughter in Italy. The daughter
Me
then calls
daughter.
the police, and the police call the harbour master. While that goes on, a conversation between Pilon and Ambrosio. The diesel is not starting. The captain asks the engine room, but where have we made contact? Thinking that the incoming water can be reduced. Captain, here everything is lost. The electrical panel, everything. They're saying at this point that the ship is going down. The captain calls Roberto Ferrarini again. Actually, 2 compartments have been flooded, but don't worry, the ship's stability isn't in danger.
Oh no, no.
Passengers begin going to muster stations on their own initiative. The cruise director says, "We have a lot of people at muster stations that I do not want to fall overboard. Do we make an announcement to tell them to go to the lounges?" Bozio says, "I think that's best." The harbour master from Livorno calls the ship. The captain tells them that we just have a blackout. How long has this blackout been going on? About 20 minutes. Have you asked passengers to put on life vests? It's just a blackout. I gotta go. The harbour master is suspicious. He says to his superiors that he thinks something more is going on. He calls a patrol boat to the area and asks them to look at the ship. Another problem. The fan on the emergency diesel generator isn't working properly. Pilon
Porquê
manually
que
has to
tu sabes que há problemas graves e escondes como capitão? What? Não faz sentido.
turn the thing on and off with a screwdriver so that it doesn't overheat and cause a fire. The captain is on the phone to the lower decks, asking pointless questions like, is it still flooded? Yes. Yes, it is. The captain is essentially in denial of the situation. The
Para
harbour
não
master-
perder o emprego, porque tem medo de ir preso. I mean, uma cena deste calibre vai ser descoberta eventualmente. Tipo, depois de ser feita a análise, eles vão descobrir o que é que realmente aconteceu. Portanto, mais vale tentar salvar o pessoal que está lá dentro. Right? É tipo, esconder não faz sentido, porque está a adiar o inevitável.
calls again. Finally, he says, the ship is taking on water through an opening in the left side and the ship is listing. He qualifies with, no one
tipo,
dead or injured.
Ok, ele pode mentir, mas não lhe serve nada. Porque vai tipo, estar literalmente a adiar o inevitável de, like, mais vale tentar salvar e fazer as coisas como deve ser. Digo eu, I don't know.
Left side and the ship is listing. He qualifies with, no one dead or injured. The harbour master asks if he needs help. Just a tugboat.
Se tudo der certo não dá problema. Não sei se é assim que funciona, minha senhora. Quando tu bates numa pedra e tens motores a afundar, eu acho que mesmo que dê tudo certo, eu acho que não fica tudo bem, não.
Full rescue. With 3 compartments flooded, the captain finally realizes that things are really bad and they are not going to improve. The Coast Guard orders every available ship to the sea. Meanwhile, up with the passengers, the cruise director's assistant says, everything's under control. Please return to your cabins or hang about in the lounges, no problem. She said this despite knowing it was wrong and that it further endangered lives. Most passengers at this point, though, aren't listening to this nonsense and they're busy figuring out how to abandon ship. Bang, 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 bang. Local television has already picked up the story and they begin broadcasting live radio feed from
Feels
the bridge.
good, man.
Captain, the passengers are going on board the boats. Okay, let them go to shore. So then general emergency? Wait, let me talk to Ferrarini. We risk the emergency generators
What's up,
that do
Leaper?
not have cooling. It has cooling problems, 100 degrees. The cooling fan has stopped. Pelon calls the bridge and tells the safety officer they need to evacuate. The safety officer relays this to the captain, but after no response, he orders the engine room to evacuate on his own. The captain says, no, stay. We're leaving. So what do? General emergency? The captain tells Ferrarini that he's abandoning ship. Abandon ship! Another announcement is made.
Abandon ship.
Your attention, please. The situation is under control. Please remain calm. But at this time, proceed to your muster station. They're located outside on deck 4.
The Livorno Coast Guard calls again. The captain declares distress. The Coast Guard officially calls for rescue operations. They contact Pietro Mile, the helicopter base commander, who then calls in every available pilot. As he rushes down to the helicopter base, Pelon shuts down the emergency generator for the final time. The first rescue vessel arrives. By this point, the lifeboats are already going. Luckily, the ship is very close to shore. Oh, perhaps too close to shore. The ship forcefully runs aground, creating an uneven center of gravity, and it begins heavily listing starboard. The captain issues a general emergency on board. The announcement to abandon ship is finally called and alarms ring out.
Morreram
With that
32, acho eu, pelo que estava a dizer na Wikipedia.
And now that they're listing, with many of the lifeboats too awkwardly positioned to enter the water, there aren't enough readily available, and they
Yikes.
have to start going back and forth to the shore, picking people up and dropping them off. The patrol boats report to the Livorno harbour master that the ship has run aground and is listing heavily. So the harbour master asks the captain about it, and the captain says, no, the ship is still floating. In fact, we're trying to maneuver it onto the shore. They know he's lying. Hold on, I'm reversing it.
Estás a ver?
The
But
captain
why?
then says to bottom out the starboard anchor. So they drop out the anchors, but let out too much chain, effectively rendering them useless. The deputy mayor of Giglio, Mario Pellegrini, and tobacco shop owner Giovanni Rossi arrive at the harbour. They watch the scene unfold. As the first of the lifeboats arrive on shore, the deputy mayor takes
Não
the
sei se
initiative
entendo, mas
and
quando
races
vejo que não
toward
tenho
one of the
tempo para ir para o lifeboat, salto para o
returning
mar.
to the ship.
E depois lembras-te que há pessoas que não sabem nadar. You know?
And starts trying to find someone in charge. He gives up and starts helping passengers.
Eu também saltava para o mar, mas é porque eu sei
Spatino
nadar.
tells everyone
You
to
know?
leave and take radios, but not before changing out of his uniform and into a nice suit. Priorities. Dimitri Christidis and Silvia Coronica leave with him. The maitre d' and Sir Morton both get out of there. By this point, approximately 300 people are still on the ship. Mile reaches the helicopter base. The first helicopter, a slow-moving Augusta Bell, was already rising from the tarmac for the hour-long flight south. Bozio is the last crew member left on the bridge, coordinating evacuation. He then leaves to help passengers board lifeboats. The bridge is now abandoned. And then, the ship's black box stops working. Apparently there were technical problems with it. That means, from here, things are going to get a little foggy.
Black box stops working. Então, mas as black box não é suposto serem tipo quase infalíveis? What?
A while later, rescue helicopters arrive, but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water.
That's cap, dude.
Passengers are scaling down the port
That's
side
fucking
by
cap,
ladder
bro.
as lifeboats return to pick them up.
Onde foi o capitão? O capitão disse: está tudo bem. Excuse ditch. Basically. Já deve já com a calminha que vai levar. Ah, sim, e não é só isso. You know? Não é só isso. A altura da varanda do avião, do barco, para a água, ainda são alguns metros, eu diria. E bater de chapa na água a uma altura considerável não deve ser agradável. Especialmente idosos iam-se aleijar and shit, you know? É para cair de um avião ainda... Exato. É tipo, teve problemas técnicos. What? Como assim? Anda lá 10 segundos para trás, olhar a posição do barco. 10 segundos para trás. Eu acho que não há barco nenhum aqui, minha senhora.
Things are gonna get a little foggy.
Mergulha fora.
A while later, rescue helicopters arrive, but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water.
Oh, nice. Feels good.
Passengers are scaling down the port side by ladder as lifeboats return to pick them up.
Olha aí, o barco é enorme, mano.
Scaling down the port side
Olha
by
isso.
ladder as lifeboats return to pick.
Olha isso, dude. Daqui até aqui, um salto daqui até aqui, são para aqui uns 15 metros, maybe? Yeah! Eu acho que ia doer um bocadinho. You know? Acho que ia doer um bocadinho.
This is no joke. Oh my goodness.
Está tudo bem, yeah.
No joke, mi amor.
Estás a ver? Isso é que é parvo ele dizer, está tudo bem. Tipo, qual era o plano dele? Era fugir enquanto o barco ainda estava a nave. Tipo, só se ele pensou a meio. Só se ele a meio disto tudo pensou, ok, já não há volta a dar. Se eu for capturado vou ser preso. Portanto, vou dizer que está tudo bem e vou fugir. And hope for the best. Maybe esse foi o plano dele. I guess. I don't know. Está tudo bem, Minol. Yeah, essa é que é a cena. Tipo, ele sabia que não estava bem, mas decidiu. I don't know, dude. It's weird as fuck. I don't get it.
Yes.
You're not allowed to make a film
I'm
movie.
allowed.
Who say you are?
You're not allowed to make film movie. No, I don't think so. Ah, isto é outra coisa bem engraçada. You're not allowed to... whatever. Most of the times you are actually allowed.
Passenger?
Yes.
You're not allowed to make a film
I'm
movie.
allowed.
Who say you are?
A second helicopter,
Who say you are
a faster
allowed?
model, sets off. The ship stops healing and comes to a final resting place. Now the Coast Guard calls the captain because he's just learnt that the captain has abandoned ship. The captain claims, no, actually I slipped and I fell into one of the lifeboats. I'm close. But now that I'm on board, I may as well head back to shore. DeFalco tells the captain to get the fuck back on board. And the captain kind of acts confused and then effectively refuses. So the
What are you
captain
to say I'm
makes
not
it
allowed?
From here, we only have mainstream news reports to
É preciso seres um cobarde mesmo, tipo, top tier cobarde para fazer uma merda dessas. Yikes.
go on board. And the captain kind of acts confused and then effectively refuses. So the captain makes it to shore. From here, we only have mainstream news reports to rely on, so it's not going to be super accurate. But they say that Giglio's police chief then finds 110 survivors on the rocks at Point Gabbianara. And among them is the captain. It's not known whether the captain helped anyone while he was there, and in fact, the police chief claimed that he just sat on the rocks
Imagina.
and watched other people.
Imagina, tu vais buscar as pessoas que sobreviveram e entre elas está o capitão. E as pergunta, então em quem é você? Ah, eu sou o capitão do barco. I mean, it is what it is.
People do the rescuing. A while later,
What the
the rescue
fuck,
boat
man?
picks up the captain and takes him to the harbour. He speaks to the police.
Everything is fine.
He then finds the ship's onboard chaplain, Father Rafael Molina, and cries to him for about 15 minutes. Then he goes to the harbour master's office to receive probably the biggest dressing down of his entire life. Port authorities ask the
Halo
taxi
music?
driver
What?
to take the captain back to his hotel. The captain takes the 32nd
Eram quantas
cab
pessoas
ride
no
to the
boat?
Bahamas
Não sei.
hotel. According to the cabbie,
Não
he
sei
was
quantas
beaten
eram.
like a dog. He was cold and afraid. He only asked me where he could buy a pair of fresh socks. But then he perked right up again and gave an interview to a news crew. He told them that he was the last to leave.
The captain is usually the last to abandon ship.
E ele continua, mano. Este gajo é tipo... mentiroso compulsivo, só que é mau. É tipo, é o... I don't know. É parvo compulsivo, I guess.
Captain, we were the last to leave the ship.
All they said, they rescued a search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a
Ele só foi
South
preso
Korean
3 anos.
couple said-
Pois, isso é outra cena que é bem engraçada. É como é que este gajo não é tipo insta preso, you know? Ainda andou em liberdade durante um bom tempo. É tipo, I guess, man. I guess, dude.
All they said, they rescue a search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple is found in their
Olha,
cabin,
Parasite
safe
Pog.
but shivering. They had slept through the crash and woke up unable to exit their cabin. The last survivor, Manrico Giampandroni, was found with a broken leg. He was the cabin's service director. In the end, 32 people died. The final body wasn't discovered until nearly 3 years
Jesus
later.
Christ, man.
A crew member, Russell Rebello, and it's believed that he died a hero helping passengers off the ship. The Costa Concordia was the largest cruise ship disaster since the Titanic.
Yeah,
And
barcos.
then there's the ship. This
Sign
is
me
what
up, dude.
happens to a 110,000-ton cruise liner when it's left half rolled over in the ocean.
Hello again. Bué da git, man. Tipo, all gone. Jesus Christ. O que é que se faz, tipo, com os destroços do barco? Tipo, dá para recuperar parte? Suponho eu. Smell?
But this isn't the end.
Lixo
It's
no
just
lixo.
a halfway point. What most people know is that the Costa Concordia had crashed, many dead, and that the captain abandoned ship like a coward. But there's a whole veritable spaghetti of details to untangle. Let's dive in. There they are. The deets.
A edição deste gajo é pog.
Blue box time. The Costa Concordia was more than just a floating resort. There's a mall, a casino, cha-ching, cha-ching. This iron chest was full of safes and cash registers and expensive fittings. And there were plenty of gamers prepared to sneak by authorities and try their luck in the hot zone. Within days, police divers reported that valuable items, once seen lying around the ship, were now missing. High-end
Oh
lighting,
my
expensive
god.
furniture,
O ser
diamonds.
humano é incrível. O ser humano é incrível. Tipo, as cenas que o dinheiro faz, mano. It's actually fucking nuts, dude. Alguém achou que era uma boa ideia, tipo, ir buscar fatos de mergulhador para ir buscar os pertences que estavam no... Genial, mano. Fucking genius. O pessoal faz tudo para conseguir it. It's fucking nuts, man. It's fucking nuts.
Sets, cash from the casino, cash registers, jewelry and display cabinets. safes,
É
Japanese
que é tão, tipo, é tão insano que é tipo genial, mano. You know? Dude,
woodblock
What
prints
the
by
fuck?
famous 18th century artists, as well as the iconic bell, which hung from the bridge of the ship. It was never found. Who steals a big fuck-off bell? Even the server admins were
virou
getting
Sea of
involved.
Thieves, dude, yeah.
4 divers who were part of the company contracted to refloat the Concordia were spotted on CCTV, sneaking out to the ship.
Espera, actual footage?
Spotted on CCTV,
Como é que CCTV ainda está a funcionar? What the fuck?
sneaking out to the ship.
Estou muito
A
confuso.
patrol boat was dispatched, and the men were caught inside the fancy suites with rucksacks full of stolen goods. The 4 men are charged with stealing and thieving and
4 a 6 meses em só?
pinching. Later on, stolen as well as legitimate items found their way to Amazon and eBay. chips from the casino, postcards, and cabin access cards became highly sought after souvenirs.
It even has a watermark.
Some Australian guy even made a listing for the ship itself, advertising it as buyer to collect. And although there were plenty of bidders, eBay pulled the plug.
Holy shit, dude.
I know you want to see Scatino go to jail, and we'll get to that. But first, we have to talk about someone else. Domnica Samorton.
Oh, true.
There was speculation that she was on the bridge that evening because she was the captain's mistress.
Yeah.
Media speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
They both denied their love for years and maintained that they were just friends. Although she did later admit
My
to the media
man.
that she found him handsome. And how could you not?
You so fucking precious when you smile.
But she says there was no
dude.
romantic link between them.
Some people would like to believe, they want to know I have something with him. It's more interesting. It's like, some spicy in the story.
Miss Samorton also loved the spotlight, however.
Everyone, oh look!
And took several interviews. But as the pressure mounted upon her, she began making ominous threats to Scatino, saying he must
No way.
confess, and that you have but 1 week to come.
Threats pelo Facebook?
But things from
No.
here get weird.
Spicy.
Samorton is a bit of a wild card. In a subsequent interview, she claimed a helicopter came to the ship well before the other rescue craft to take away a package. Huh? And what was that package? Drugs, apparently. So rumors began that the ship was running
Dude, what the
narcotics
fuck?
for the mafia.
It gets better and
not
better.
without cause. A number of
It
cruise
gets
ships even
better every
recently have
time.
been caught trafficking drugs. As an aside, Scatino was tested for drugs immediately after the crash. He tested negative for drugs in his system, but trace amounts of cocaine were found in a hair sample.
Makes it smoother and less dry.
Nonetheless, the Concordia was searched and no drugs were reportedly ever found. How did we get here? Oh right, a helicopter. Samorton commented on it again the next day and said, actually, that helicopter was just for the captain as a means of evacuation from the ship. Okay, wait. So she expected to get some sort of first-class rescue while everyone else was still stuck on the ship? Wait, how did we get here?
no.
Oh, right, sex with the captain. Divers were quick to head to the captain's cabin where they found Miss Samorton's lingerie and other articles of clothing as well as a makeup
Oh
bag.
my god.
The jig was up, but they continued denying it. Samorton mostly faded from international attention until she was told to appear before the court to present witness testimony. The judge pressed her to be truthful about their relationship, or she would be held in contempt.
Either tell me the truth or shut up.
So finally, she admitted it.
Yes, I had a sentimental relationship with the captain.
Stop.
But now, stop asking about my private life.
She was indeed the captain's lover.
What is up, Trouble Alert Nation? No, cheated on his wife with Seymour Can. Oh my god!
My
She and
man.
Scatino had been having an affair for several weeks. She also said that on the night she boarded, she didn't have a ticket.
Ticket, please.
And didn't need to pay because nobody questions you when you're the captain's lover. Naturally, she gave another confusing interview after leaving court.
I want to say that today is the second time I died because the first time I died in the night of the crash with my psychological brain and problems. And today I died the second time because, of course, people find out something that I try to hide.
Subsequent to the trial, she used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often
What
appearing
the
on
fuck?
television and radio and in articles covering protests, accompanied by pictures
Okay.
of her being arrested by police.
Psychological brain. Hold up, deixa-me voltar atrás. Calma.
Political.
Try to hide.
Subsequent to the trial, she used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often appearing on television and radio and in articles covering protests,
Como é que
accompanied
este
by
pessoal chega... É tipo, tem piada, mas depois eu lembro-me que estas pessoas são podres de ricas e tipo, pelos estándares da sociedade, têm sucesso. É tipo, what the fuck, bro?
of her
Como?
being arrested by police.
Porque é boa? Nem é, mano. Nem é boa. Espera, o quê?
Articles covering protests, accompanied by pictures of her being arrested by police.
She's complaining that there aren't enough bins in the area. The police are telling her to calm down and point out that there are bins right there. The crowd standing around is telling the police she's allowed to protest here and generally white knighting. Nice. Jesus Christ.
It was some stuff about
Monk
violence, women's rights,
Girl power.
yada yada yada. And interestingly,
Yikes.
part of a push to block the sale of shares of Moldova's train network
Dude,
to
he
Russia.
dodged the fucking bullet if you ask me. Yikes, dude. I'd take fucking 16 years in prison over that shit.
Other than that, I don't really know what she's been up to. Let me just check on her Oh god, not again.
Oh no. Round 2. Yo, what's up, carrots? Hello? Yo, what's up?
Several civil suits were quickly
Hazer?
lodged against Costa Crociere, and their parent company, Carnival Cruises, immediately saw a share drop of 23%.
Dump it.
Passengers sought
Hello?
compensation for their
Bugged.
damaged mental health, lost belongings, and loved ones.
Either they allowed him to divert from his course, or they didn't know where their billion-dollar ship was.
Within a few days, facing financial and media pressure, the CEO attempted to join the bandwagon against the captain and the crew.
That was not the ordinary route that the ship was taking at the time, and was not only taking, but the time the ship was...
Claiming that the ship was not approved to deviate from the route. But that wasn't true. Approval isn't required if the ship is deviating by less than 15 miles, or that it was against company rules. Also untrue, because investigators found that they didn't have any rules about deviating route, and they tacitly encouraged sail by salutes. Now, in response to the civil suits, Costa Crociere offered passengers 11,000 euros each as compensation.
That's kind of small.
11,000 euros, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
This was to reimburse them
A
for
quem?
the ticket.
A quem estava a bordo do... Então a companhia de música capsize as offered... aos passageiros. Ok. I mean, to be honest, se alguém foi num cruzeiro destes, eles já são ricos in the first place, portanto eu acho que pouco importa, mas whatever.
Each as compensation.
That's kind of small.
11,000 euros, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
This was to reimburse them for their tickets,
A
as
Cat
well as
foi,
any
não
costs they
é?
accrued
Que a
in
Cat foi neste barco em específico? I'm not sure.
going to unexpectedly travel home early.
And that was supposed to release them from everything and anything that has to do with this accident. I cannot ask for more than this.
A lot of passengers, understandably, were not too happy with this deal, and they refused to take the money.
We think the offer is an insult for what these poor passengers went through.
Actually,
The
true.
compensation
Mas
being
isto é a tal cena que é tipo... I don't know, dude. I don't know. O pessoal pensa que o dinheiro compra tudo. É tipo, morreu um familiar, toma dinheiro. Não sei, whatever the fuck. Just take money, dude. You know? Money solves everything. Just take money and shut up. É tipo, that's fucking trash.
offered is not commensurate.
Não fui nesse, fui num melhor ainda. Wow, weird flex. Ok, ok.
Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
11k, my
Later,
PTSD is
Costa-
cured, yeah. 11k? Hey, who needs a husband anyways, am I right, boys?
Crociere would lodge a plea deal with the Tuscany court to pay a €1 million fine to avoid a criminal trial. The judge agrees. Costa Crociere is now off the hook for all criminal liability for the whole thing. They've washed their hands of the incident and flecked the residual droplets of responsibility onto the faces of 6 staff members. Passengers and relatives of the dead are livid that the company has been able to avoid criminal responsibility.
Of course, man.
Is not commensurate.
Civil suits against the company continue. By the way, the residents of the island of Giglio also banded together and sought damages. They didn't get much. Eventually, passengers
A
who
edição deste
refused the
gajo é
initial
fucking insane.
compensation of
Se o mistress do
11,000
capitão não
joined
precisa ter
civil
dinheiro,
parties
true.
against Scatino in his trial in
It's
2015.
not commensurate.
They were awarded €30,000 each. Other cases, especially those involving lost relatives, are settled for undisclosed amounts. New York attorney Peter Renee travelled to Budapest to represent 6 real survivors of the disaster.
At Renee, we personally work on every case.
And we'll work harder than anyone to get you the most money possible in the shortest amount of time.
And while on the job, a 7th case cropped up
Awesome on gold.
via email. An elderly woman, Alona, said,
"Help me, Mr. Ronai, for I have lost my daughter, Eva, and my 5-year-old granddaughter, Roxana."
So Mr. Renai agreed to speak with her. However, there were some inconsistencies in her story. Neither Eva nor Roxana were on the passenger list.
Oh, no.
But Costa is known for having stowaways. Still, Mr. Renai was suspicious. They wouldn't. Cheaty old Petey.
Sus.
Renai inquired further about why she was on board, especially without a ticket. Ilona said,
"Well, I don't know, but you should ask her boyfriend.
Zolt Horvath.
He'll know all the details."
Kinda sus,
Up all
dude.
night. I'm going crazy, he said. But Mr. Renai was still suspicious. Because then she asked, "How much money do you think this is worth?"
Oh, no.
This is a huge red flag, Petey. In 20 years of doing this, you've never had anyone ask about money. Why now?
Dude, ao menos se vais fazer isto, at least do it right, man.
Mr. Renai hired an investigator and sent photos around of the missing girl. The next day, the phone rang. Ahoy hoy, it was the boyfriend again. Look, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding and the child isn't missing at all. Uh-huh. And then he claimed he was confused because he had done too many drugs the night before. Oh. Okay,
Understandable.
can I speak to the daughter then? At first, he was refused. So Renai said that he'd have to file a missing persons report to the police if he couldn't. The boyfriend relented. That night, Renai met with Zolt and brought the police with him. He speaks to the granddaughter and asks her if she's seen Mum. Yeah, I saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up. So the mum walks into the room sheepishly.
Oh,
it's a
no.
miracle. And the story changed again. Okay, I'm not dead, but I did injure my leg when I jumped from the ship. And then I immediately flew back to Budapest. Although don't worry about checking my leg because there are no visible marks or injuries.
Okay, I see.
Petey, I'm beginning to think they weren't even on the boat. Also, it turns out this lady isn't her mum, it's just a neighbor. Eventually, Renee managed to make the pair confess.
Fucking
and
insane.
They said, "Hey, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't taken any money." And in the end, it looks
The
like
jig
there'll be
is
no
up,
criminal
dude.
punishment for the scam, because Hungary, a former communist country, has no laws against insurance fraud on the books.
The law firm that never sleeps, call 1-800-6647.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, that's a very bad idea.
Jesus Christ. Vada a bordo? What?
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course.
Means on board, for fuck's sake.
Okay, thanks.
Gregorio De Felco. the
Quanto
naval
tempo é
officer
que o
who
gajo demora a
shouted
fazer estes vídeos? Eu não sei qual é a frequência com que ele dá upload, mas isto deve demorar fucking meses. A cena é, ele aqui até lançou tipo um atrás do outro, mas não sei. I don't know. Mas deve demorar para caraças de... I was also there. How much can I get? Maybe 2?
He, like the rest of the world, expected Scatino to go down with the ship.
So dumb.
And when the captain chickened out, De Felco was there to admonish him. And when he stopped answering the radio, he called him on his cell phone to continue putting him on blast. When the captain first reported just a blackout, De Felco didn't believe the story and immediately began preparing a rescue effort, which likely saved several lives. His actions were
Portanto, o único
applauded by
gajo...
most Italians who were tired of their public servants
O único gajo competente era aquele, basically.
corrupt and avoiding responsibility. Accordingly, shirts sporting Vada a bordo caso were being printed by the end of the week, others setting it as their phone's ringtone. But then, in September 2014, without warning, DeFalco was transferred to an admin role in the Coast Guard.
Hear what I said? You've been demoted.
DeFalco said that he had been passed up for promotion, that he had also not been told which admin office he was even being transferred to, and that it all effectively cancelled 10 years of his career. DeFalco was tres furioso, and there was public speculation that it was owing to bad blood between himself and Admiral Delano, his former boss. His status among the public overshadowed his superior in many ways. On the other hand, his boss said, no, it's part of a normal career progression for naval officers, and that he must show more maturity and professionalism to advance his career. Now, it's hard to know what's true in office politics, so let's leave that alone. And anyway, in 2018, DeFalco said buenas noches, ya later, to the Italian Navy to become a politician. In March that year, he was elected to the Italian Senate, serving as a member for Livorno. He still serves there today.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now. É que o gajo, a cena fixe dos vídeos deste gajo é que ele dá-se ao trabalho de meter bué de detalhes que a maior parte das pessoas não vai apanhar, mas é por isso que o pessoal curte os vídeos dele, you know?
The day after the disaster, Schettino was taken into custody by police and underwent questioning. However, it was clear that this would not be a straightforward investigation. So the judge released him under house arrest at his home in Sorrento, a town in Napoli. By July of that year, the house arrest was relaxed and he was allowed within this general area.
Jail time.
While under house arrest, he wrote a book with this journalist from Rai magazine. I have no idea what it says. I don't
Então
speak
e a
Italian.
mulher dele?
He must
What
have
happened?
some kind of charisma going on, because there's been a lot of speculation in the press that he had an affair with her as well.
You can't keep getting away.
Hold on, I got it. Not content with abandoning his
Tree
ship,
time, chat.
this dude is determined to abandon his wife as well. So, Schettino and 5 others are facing criminal charges. Straight away, everyone lodges a plea bargain with the court, and all of those plea bargains are accepted, except for Schettino's. And the condition of everyone's reduced sentences are that they must provide witness testimony against Schettino.
He touched me.
Ciro, Jacob, and Silvio were all given suspended sentences. Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal. A good deal.
Community server or house arrest? What? Eles... Então pera. Estás a ser punido e ainda podes escolher? Eh? I don't get it.
Good deal. And that meant that Schettino was now all on his own. Ciro, the first officer, was the first to give his testimony. On the witness stand, he claimed that Schettino was distracted by his mistress and other guests on the bridge. That there was confusion over who was in command.
Aos arrest ao Pena há 3 anos. Trude.
And he said, Lamau XD, because he didn't actually bother with his testimony or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually track him down on the outskirts of Jakarta. And when they said, oi, we still want that witness testimony, he just scalped it again. And he hasn't been found since.
Classic.
After that, Ferrarini gave his testimony, then Silva...
I speak, I'm in big trouble.
We don't have time to
Big
relitigate
trouble.
the whole trial. So let's just go straight to the verdict. Guilty! Schettino was found guilty of multiple manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, abandoning ship, and lying to authorities. He is sentenced to 16 years and 1 month in prison.
16 anos por matar 32 pessoas. Parece-me justo.
Wait, there's still the appeals. The appeals trial begins. And the verdict on the appeal? Surprise! Rejected. So Schettino's lawyers appealed again. And the verdict on the final appeal?
Pause champ.
Schettino made multiple attempts to secure a plea deal but was denied by the prosecution each time. The prosecution called for Schettino to be sentenced to 26 years in prison, calling the incident a Titanic affair.
Oh, okay, I see what you did there.
Schettino was not present. His lawyers stated that he was waiting outside of the jail for the ruling, so that if his plea was rejected, he could immediately start serving his sentence. And with that, 5 years and 4 months after the disaster, he was finally in a cell.
Nice.
Said I will not be making any comment.
Oh, that hurt.
Linus Tech Tips. So dumb.
The salvage operation was enormous. It took over 2 years and cost an estimated $1.2 billion. Beginning in early 2012, they first spent 2 months pumping fuel from the ship's tanks. At the same time, they had to pump seawater in so that the balance wasn't affected and the ship didn't slide around.
Linus Sex Tips.
In early 2013, a platform was built under the ship to prevent it from falling further. Sponsons were then attached to the sides of the ship and cables attached to the underwater platform. The sponsons were then dragged underwater and opened up to allow the ocean to fill them. The ship could then roll over properly. By late 2013, the ship was upright once more.
Jesus.
The sponsons were then attached to the side of the ship to help keep it balanced. It now rested partially above water and crews could walk around safely. By July 2014, the water was removed from the sponsons and compressed air was pumped in to lift the ship. And she was ready to cruise again. This time to a port in Genoa. It was a 4-day towing journey to the docks where a 2-year process of dismantling and recycling would begin.
Pois yeah,
That
I
same
guess.
weekend of the towing, Scatino was busy. He was the guest of honor at a white party on an island in the Bay of Naples. He appeared on the front page of a local newspaper, flanked by 2 of Italy's most eligible bachelorettes.
Okay, dude.
Anyway, so these are the things that I remember from the Costa Concordia. That sweet maiden of the sea. And as for you, little fella, well, it's time to return you.
Oh no!
From whence you came.
So dumb.
6 quick things. 1. NordVPN, good product, check them out. Number 2. There's a new video on the second channel. You probably didn't see it because it was temporarily restricted. Now it's not. Enjoy. 3. If you've never seen the second channel before, give it a go. It's a different type of content, but we put a lot of production into it.
Eu acho que
It's
passei
not
por
just
lá.
offcuts. 4. There are a couple secret channels as well, but I ain't telling you where they are. 5. No more 45-minute
Secret
videos on
channels?
the main channel. Back to 10 to 15 minutes and more of them. 6. There's a Q&A coming out next week on incognito mode. It's got a ton of detail that we had to cut for the sake of brevity and will no doubt feature a ton of corrections as well. That's it. Thank you.
Nice.
Spicy.
Gostava de saber quanto tempo é que o gajo demorou
He has to.
a fazer o vídeo.